Hello, Fiends, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Get Spooky. I'm Vamp.
I'm AJ.
And today we are talking about all things Valentine's Day, Valentine's in general.
Love.
The history, the love. What do you think of when you think of Valentine's Day?
Red, hearts, candy,
flowers, love,
materialism,
going out on dates.
But it's also awful because we were talking about this before we started, and it's like us with our significant others don't do anything because it's like we're with each other all the time. So
it's a fresh relationship. I feel like when you're newly with someone, you care about Valentine's Day. It's like an important day. I don't think I ever really had that because I'm like, it's just another day. I worked in a restaurant for a while, so Valentine's Day was my literal hell.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, so I don't know. I do appreciate the day after Valentine's Day when all the candy and like treats are 70% off.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, I'm here for that. But I just don't have a significant attachment to Valentine's Day whatsoever. Mm-mm. It's really cute. But I don't find myself like I have to go get Valentine's Day cards. Sorry, Cameron.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is I usually find a really cute Valentine's Day card, and I do this almost every year with Valentine's Day and birthdays. I get the card and then I'm like, oh, I have to hide this. And I'll put it away somewhere. And then it's Valentine's Day and I'm like, I know I got a card.
I know I got something.
And then I don't find it till like October.
Yep. And then you're like, I'll use this next year.
Nope.
But I have to hide it.
And then I buy another one. Yeah. So usually he'll get a Valentine's Day card if I can remember where I hid it. But other than that, we just are like, hey, I love you. I love you too. It's just another day.
Yeah.
But we are going to talk about all of the things that you don't necessarily associate with Valentine's Day, like murder. Yeah,
like if you don't want to love your partner anymore, you kill them.
And you know what's funny is, so I was doing my research and I'm like, okay, let's look up some tragedies on Valentine's Day.
You're expecting not to see much.
No, because I'm like, if you're going to kill your significant other or your partner or anybody, maybe just do it like the 13th or the 15th. Like
on Valentine's Day on the 13th?
Or maybe the 11th.
Get out of town.
I don't know. Just not on the day of love, because I feel like it's just extra guilty.
Yeah, and then also like if you do it ahead of time, you don't have to get gifts or anything.
That's true. I mean, you shouldn't kill someone just because you don't want to get them a gift.
This is not us telling you should go and kill your significant other. Break up with them. It's not that hard.
Yeah, I mean, you could even, these days, people do it via text. They don't even call each other or do it in person. So you always have that
maybe FaceTime, but like...
Oh, that's a lot of effort. That's like...
You're still face-to-face, which is a lot.
Yeah. FaceTime is the new age face-to-face.
That's true. Okay, just text message.
Just text message. Or just like ghost them. Don't say anything. Murder is ultimately the extreme method of ending the relationship. Also, I would say there's 100% chance you're going to get caught.
Oh yeah.
100%. There's no
this day and age. There's no chance.
No, and in our in my research, which you'll hear about all these stories later, the people that did get away with it, or not necessarily get away with it, but they weren't found.
Yeah.
It was in like the 70s, it was pre-forensics, pre-DNA. Now, it might take them a couple days, but you're toast. So there's better methods. There's more fish in the sea. It's not like the end of the world.
Yeah.
So
there's other ones out there.
Before we get into all the murdery stuff, you have a little history of Valentine's Day to see what all the fuss is about.
Sort of.
Or maybe not.
Which is like weird because that's the most obvious thing. It's like, okay, what's the history of Valentine's Day? Where did it come from? Blah, blah, blah. But there's like really not much. It's like all very vague. Like they're like, well, some believe that it's this and some believe that it's this way. One of like the main ones that I found was saying that it's like it originated as a Christian feast day honoring Saint Valentine. And I'm like, okay.
Is Saint Valentine like Cupid?
No, he was a Christian martyr, and I guess he also like I don't know, but then some people are like he helped the sick. He made someone who was blind see again and stuff like that, and I'm like,
it's just the bunch of religious mumbo jumbo. No offense to anyone religious, but it's to me, I mean, it's the stereotypical thing you hear. Like, it was created by Hallmark because they want to sell you cards and candy and flowers.
It has to be that. Like,
which is fine, but it's in my opinion, there shouldn't be a day that like one single day in the year that you're like, oh, I love you because it's Valentine's Day. It should be a daily thing. You should express your love to the people you care about.
All the time.
All of the time. Although I do really like the cute little conversation hearts.
Oh my gosh, I love those so much. I got this cute little, like, it almost looks like a ceramic gumball machine, and I filled it with conversational hearts, and I have it at my desk. So like randomly I'll be working and I'm like, oop, time for some conversational hearts.
Favorite conversation hearts. Do you like the regular, is it like Brock's or Bob's
Yeah, those
brand?
ones. Those are the only ones I like.
Oh, I like the sweet tart ones.
Those are
They're
good, but
tangy.
I just get that craving for that chalky,
that cheap chalky candy.
Yeah.
And fun fact, we will be trying some candy and various other Valentine's-y things.
Things that are red, because like I said earlier in the episode, red reminds me of Valentine's Day.
Blood red.
Red, you know.
So there's not a whole lot of history about Valentine's Day on why it is the day of love. But there are a lot of murders that coincidentally happen on Valentine's Day, and we are going to talk about them. But before we get to that, we are going to give some honorable mentions. If you're looking for a flick to watch with your significant other, to get you in the Valentine's Day mood, well, it's kind of a murdery mood, but whatever. So mine are My Bloody Valentine 1981 edition, as well as the 2009 edition. I liked both. The Love Witch, which I think is available on Netflix, 2016 flick, and then The Bride of Chucky from 1998. Because what says love like two dolls that murder people? Yay.
They love each other too.
They do.
They do it in the name of love.
And they love to murder together, which is great. Find something you love to do together. Your relationship will last forever.
It's like find someone that likes the same things you do.
Yeah, murder included. They're cute dolls, so they can get away with it.
Yeah, there you go. Mine aren't ones that like happen on Valentine's Day. They're just more like love movies. Warm Bodies from 2013. That was a fun one. It's the world is made up of zombies and humans, and one of the zombies tries to save one of the humans, and they form a relationship. And of course, you can tell that's a little bit hard because he just wants to eat flesh the entire time. But their love makes him more human.
All.
So, just like real life. My next pick is great if you like. It's very romantic. It's you fall in love with this beautiful man, but then you realize that he has been marrying a bunch of other women and taking their wealth and then killing them. And then he also has an incestuous relationship with his sister.
This was starting really good. I was like, oh, there's a cute little heartfelt, lovey movie. Nope.
No. In case it's Crimson Peak by Guillermo del Toro. I absolutely love this movie. It's one of my favorites.
One of the coolest mazes at Horror Nights, I forget what year, was such a cool maze. Did you remember that one?
I feel like I saw it, but now that I'm trying to remember back, I can't remember it.
It was like down in that back part.
Yeah.
And it had like, it was just really, it was just like the movie. It was beautiful, and it had like those giant like vats, and I don't know, it was a really cool maze. I think they only did it for 1 year. I don't think it ever came back, but
of course,
it was super cool.
Of course. Why?
All the good ones. Yeah.
Cool. And then the last one is The Fly by David Cronenberg.
Nothing screams Valentine's Day like The Fly.
Yeah, like The Fly. Your boyfriend turns into a fly and starts picking off his fingernails and can crawl on the wall and stuff.
Normal.
Not too far off from like Spider-Man.
Normal boyfriend.
Yeah.
Valentine's lovey things. So if you're looking for something to watch, these are some recommendations. Most of them are all streaming. You can find on
somewhere.
Google it.
Yeah. Oh, and also The Fly has a naked Jeff Goldblum, so
everybody wins.
Yeah, come on.
So shall we start talking about our murdery Valentine's Day?
Should we get into murder now?
So I found a list of kind of like the top. There's
the top murders.
That sounds bad, but there's a lot of murders that happen on Valentine's Day and like tragedies. Most of them that I found were typically murder, but there's more than I anticipated. So my first one is kind of sad. We're going to start off with the sad one because it's not really like, oh, I hate you, I'm going to murder you.
Yeah.
So this was in 2015. The Alabama Sheriff's Department discovered the remains of an elderly husband and wife who were victims of an apparent crime. but they were self-inflicted. So this was actually, I guess you would consider it a murder-suicide because it was technically murder, but it wasn't in a bad way. It was because they were both old. They were in their late 70s and they were ill. And they just kind of figured, we're going to go out the way we want to go out. We don't want to live sick like this anymore. So I was like, oh, that's really sweet. It's unfortunate that that's how it had to happen. But it was the choice of the day. It was like, oh, it's showing your dying love for one another, which is very sad. But at least it wasn't like, I hate you, I'm going to stab you in the face.
Yeah, I don't want to get you flowers this year, so I'm going to murder you.
Yeah, it was like, I love you so much and you love me so much and we don't want to be in pain anymore and we're going to do this for each other, which, I mean, although very illegal, still comes from the heart. So I can appreciate that one. And I guess, do you want to do your next one? Because I have some notes from your story, but my notes are very brief. This was on my like top murdery Valentine's Day list, but it was like, this couple died and then that was it. Oh, I won't give it away. I'm going to let you go.
So this was one that I saw and I'm like, well, it's totally tragic. It's a very brutal, sadistic type of murder. But it's gone 51 years unsolved, which is just crazy. Like we were saying earlier, like, you know, something happens today, most likely it's going to get solved because there's all this technology. Like, you know, even just the fact that our phones track us and stuff like that.
And everybody has a Ring camera.
Everyone has a Ring camera. Like there's like, when stuff like this happens and like no one gets caught is just insane to me. But then also like the way they were murdered was, like I said, very brutal, that it's like, what person can do this once and then just go back into like everyday life? And like I didn't see any reports or anything that kind of made it seem like maybe there was other ones.
Like he was a serial, or she was a serial killer.
Yeah, some type of like serial killer kind of situation. It kind of seems like this was like a one-off thing, which makes me think it might be someone that they know. But I don't know. Like, you know, you never know. So this was the murder of Patricia Mann and Jesse McBain. It happened February 12th, 1971 in North Carolina. It was a couple days before Valentine's Day. They were leaving a Valentine's dance that they went to together, which was at the hospital that she worked at. Patricia was 20 years old and she was a nursing student. So she worked at Watts Hospital, and that's where the dance was. Jesse was a 19-year-old freshman at North Carolina State University. So basically they go to this dance, they leave the dance, they want to go be together. They go to Lover's Lane, do all the romantic stuff. So basically after they leave the dance, no one sees them again. Next day.
I thought they went home. So this happened like at the Lover's Lane lookout point. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So next day, people are like, where are they? Patricia is really good. She shows up to work all the time. She's never late. She never just doesn't show up. Like she's very reliable. So all their friends and coworkers were obviously worried, tried to search for them. And they found the car at the Lover's Lane. So, and like another thing that's weird is the Lover's Lane area, like today, I think it's like houses, but back then it was basically it was like an undeveloped area, but there was all these roads that were like a bunch of cul-de-sacs. So, one of the reports that I read was saying how like it was kind of like this known thing that was like the Lover's Lane area. You would go down into one of the cul-de-sacs, and if you saw someone parked in the cul-de-sac, you would go to the next one.
You would just leave it. Like you're like, oh, it's being occupied.
That one's occupied. It's like you're going through a dressing room and you're like, oh, someone's in that one dressing room. I'm going to go to the next one. So it's like it was like an unspoken rule. Like
people aren't going to drive up and be like, is there anyone in the car like, to investigate further?
Or like...
Cameron says because they were banging.
Cars are rocking, don't come and knocking.
Exactly.
So this was a very well known like Lover's Lane area.
But the thing is, so the little brief article that I read, they were like, oh, well, they just figured because they were a new couple that they maybe went off and they eloped or something.
Yeah.
But if the car was there, did they walk?
Like, yeah, where did they go? So the car was found in the Lover's Lane area. It was locked and it had no fingerprints. Like, someone must have gone through and wiped wiped the fingerprints. Their jackets were in the back. It didn't look like there was a struggle at all. Like, it looked like they just picked up and left.
Like they went for a walk. They parked the car and then
like
just went
maybe
off.
they went for a stroll or something. So that was it. They put in a report with the police. The police, like you said, originally were like, well, maybe they eloped. And it's like, make that make sense. Like, why would they just like leave their car? Mm-hmm. And also, like, if you're gonna go elope, like I understand, like, some people do like, oh, we're going to go on vacation. And then, oh, surprise, we got married while we were away or something like that.
But how did they get there?
Exactly.
That's like the main thing is like, no, the car's still here.
Yeah. And if she had work and everyone was saying that she was like a super reliable person, like,
She'd
why
have
would
taken
she
some days
like
off.
at least, take days off and go and do it. Don't just like all of a sudden be like, I'm going to get out of here and go just elope. 12 days later on February 25th, 12 days?
Long time. Well,
it is a long time.
It was like, we've been watching a lot of like those old crime documentaries, like serial killer documentaries. And one of the main things in the 60s and 70s and kind of early 80s is when kids would go missing and they're like, no, my kid is gone missing. They're like, oh, they ran away.
Yeah, that's always the first thing. And like, oh, you have to wait 48. I think it was, I don't remember. I just remember they were like, you have to wait this ridiculous amount of time to make sure that it's not that they just ran off and are playing a prank or something.
And when they were like little kids, they didn't run away. They were like 8. They didn't run away. And people were like, my kid would never run away. Like, I guess in some cases, if it was like a kid that had that kind of history, that's a suitable
then I understand.
reason.
But at the same time, like...
But it's not a blanket statement to assume, well,
just
everyone ran away.
Search for them.
Yeah. They didn't, not everyone just goes to elope.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's like, if we learned anything from the first 48... It's the first 48 where you find the most
important time.
They wouldn't name a show after it if it wasn't important. Duh. Okay. So anyways, 12 days later, on February 25th, a surveyor was going down a dirt path. And this is how I feel like most of these stories start. They're always like, oh, I thought I saw a mannequin. And I'm always like, in the middle of like in this wooded area, you're like, you see something, and you're like, it's a mannequin.
That's where I store my mannequins. Like in the middle of the forest.
No, girl, it's a dead body. It's always a dead body. If you see a mannequin, go the other direction.
Call the police.
So he found them. They were both tied to a tree with really thick knots. They had it around their heads and their hands, and they had like ligature marks from it being around their throat. They had so when they were before they were found, someone obviously tried to hide them by putting a bunch of branches and leaves on top of them. But after examining the crime scene more, they realized that they were basically, what probably happened was they were basically strangled to death because the person would hang them to where they were
over the tree, right? Pulling them up.
So they would hang them and then let them down.
Oh.
And then hang them and then let them down. Who knows? That sounds awful.
And also, whenever you hear stories like this, you assume it's one person.
Yeah.
But if it was a couple and they were in their early 20s,
20 and 19 years old,
able-bodied people, in my mind, I would assume that it was more than one person, especially have a male and a female, unless you drugged them or they didn't have
nothing in
their systems, right?
Nothing in their system. And now that you say that, a thing came off my head, because it's if that was the process, because underneath the tree where they thought they were being hung, there was the dirt was all moved around, they were their feet were thrashing,
as if they were being pulled up and let go,
up and then let go and then pulled up. So what one person would be able to do that with both of them? Right.
Oh, because they were tied together. Were they tied together?
It didn't say. They were tied to a tree when they found them.
So when I saw it said that they were both tied up, and the article I read made it seem as if they were hanging from the tree, but I guess they had been hung and then were still tied up.
Yeah.
But it said that they were tied up I mean, this is probably just for dramatic effect, like lovingly leaning against each other. So I assume they were tied together, but they could have just been, the bodies were like next to each other.
When they were found, yeah.
But yeah, if it was both of them at the same time, there's no way one person, unless it was like a Jason or someone that had extra human power to do that. There's no way.
It wasn't, they ruled out that it wasn't a robbery because he was still wearing his class ring and his watch.
And nothing was disturbed in the car, like they weren't trying to steal anything.
Yeah, so it's obviously not
someone they knew.
A robbery gone wrong, something like that. They said that she didn't have any signs of sexual assault. So like, it's like, what's the motive here?
Yeah. And it's such a, I mean, to tie two people up and basically continually like strangle them and hang them from a tree, that's a lot of effort. It's a lot of strength that it takes.
Yeah, and it's also not quick.
No, it's a long time.
So like, for like, what kind of person would be able to do that?
A crazy person.
Like, yeah.
An extremely crazy person that clearly only was crazy for that one time, or the other types of crimes that they committed weren't as extreme.
Maybe he was on vacation or something. So like,
or like passing through.
Yeah, maybe.
But like, think about something like that. Seems like you thought about it, because you would have to have the ropes. You'd have to know where to go.
You'd need to know that that's the lever, unless you stumbled upon it. But what are the chances? Because like what I read, they were saying that it's like an undeveloped area. So unless, it seemed very much like it was a place that you went because you were going there for this one purpose. Right. So I feel like the person would need to know that that's the lover's lane. If this is them just doing it like randomly. Yeah. They at least had to scout out the place to know.
And be prepared with all of the
someone
things.
is going to be there.
Yeah.
Have all the rope, have the location, because they were brought somewhere else for this other thing to happen. Right. Because that's also what messed up with this, is that like,
oh, that's right.
It was a jurisdiction issue where like the police didn't want to like, well, who's going to solve this? And, oh, we're not going to communicate and we're not going to tell each other like what's going on, which happens like all the time.
Yeah. Especially in that time where it was like that pride thing where each county has their own police, station or police, whatever organization. And when they find something, they don't necessarily want to give all of the information that they worked hard to the next person, even though the main purpose is to solve the crime. Yeah. So it should be like every piece of information I've gathered, it's free to you because we want to catch this killer. Yeah. But it was not like that. It was
it's very much, I want to be the one who solves this.
Right. And what ultimately happens, nobody solves it, or it takes way longer to solve it because they're not sharing the information.
Yeah. Everything that I read, they were like, there's this one possible suspect. I guess there was a doctor that worked at the Watts Hospital with her.
And he had love eyes for her, and he was trying to get rid of the other guy. And then she was like, no, I love him. And he's like, I'm going to kill both of you.
I'm going to do something worse. But then it's like one of those things where it's like one of the main reasons why they think that it's him is because he refused to cooperate with police. So, and I think recently, because now they have, today we have the technology to like get DNA from very small samples. They have the ropes and like a lot of evidence from the crime scene. So hopefully today's technology, they can like get some DNA off of there. But they did approach this doctor today because he's still alive. Oh. And they're like, hey, can we get some of your DNA to like, compare?
He was like,
and
nope.
He was like, nope. His lawyer wrote him back and was like, you need to leave me alone.
How is that? Well, I guess if they don't have any evidence to prove he was connected, it's just like he worked in the hospital. That's not enough.
That's not, you need more than that to be able to like demand or to have a warrant to get
And do they not have, because I know we had talked about this on our previous episode. So when cases go cold, they just basically stay cold unless there's someone, a family member or someone within the police department that's like, no, I have something that can, some information to reopen this case. Otherwise, nobody cares.
Yeah, something similar. I think it was the thing that I read made it seem like, so they basically had this box of evidence just sitting on a shelf going untouched. And then in 2011, one of I think a new officer found it and was like, we should look into this. And then a family member came forward, was like, hey, anything yet? Can we reopen this case?
But the only thing they had was the doctor who basically said, no, I'm not going to cooperate. So then they don't really have anything to go from.
Yeah.
Unless they can get some sort of DNA.
Yeah, unless it's like some type of like Golden State Killer situation, like, you know, where you can compare it to the 23andMe kind of like stuff.
Right.
And then find someone who has like similar, and then you know that it's someone in their family type thing, because that's like how they caught him.
Or if they find similar cases in other areas that kind of fit the MO of this killer. But I mean, to me, that point you made earlier is crazy, is like, I'm going to commit this brutal crime, but I'm only going to do it once, and that's it.
And that's it.
And I guess that's the way you don't get caught. You know, if you get away with it once and you're content and you're able to move on, but that's the thing, is most of the time they can't.
Yeah.
Most of the time they're like, I need that high again. I'm going to commit another crime, and that's the ultimate downfall, which is what we prefer. We prefer you go on a downward spiral. So we can find out who you are.
We don't need any of this happening.
So that was on my list. That was actually the last one. I was like, I'm going to leave you guys with like something, because he's still out there, or she, or they. We don't know who they are.
We need all you armchair detectives to help, because if you look online, you can find their full autopsy reports.
Oh, really?
And I literally last night I was like scrolling through, reading things like right before bed, which is like a great decision.
Nightmare fuel.
Just a couple things that I found really interesting about, not interesting, but like, you know, things that stuck out to me in their, in the autopsy report. One thing that I'm not sure if this is something that the cops then came in and like did this, or if the killer did this, but one of the things said both hands were wrapped in plastic bags, shoes on and wrapped in plastic bags, fully clothed. So I don't know if they did that to like I could see that being like an evidence thing. But at the same time,
you're
like,
saying you don't know if they found them like that, or if the
way that it was written in the autopsy report just said that, and I was like,
well, that would mean that they were found like that, right? Because if they did something, if they were like, we wrapped them in plastic bags, it would say that.
Sometimes they do write it because the coroner comes to the scene after.
Oh, so
then sometimes, I don't know if they did that, but then they didn't have that for Patricia, so I'm like, why would they do it for one and just not another one? But at the same time, he had that. She didn't.
I was thinking, like, if the killer did it, then it's maybe a way to, like, if you put plastic bags, they can't scratch to get DNA evidence. I mean, at that time, I don't think people were really thinking ahead about DNA evidence. So I don't know what that would be for.
Yeah.
Or you would think if it was the police, they were doing it to preserve evidence. Like, maybe there's something they want to protect.
When I watch, like, what's that one show?
I know when I do it,
when I go out and I kill people. No, like, you know, all the shows on HLN network and stuff where they're like, oh, they took the dirt off of their shoes and were able to find that they were murdered by this one creek,
soil sample,
because this one creek only has this percentage of mercury in it or something like that, you know. So I didn't know if maybe it was now.
In the
today
70s,
they probably
were probably like, he's just got dirt.
It's just dirt. All the dirt is the same, right?
Well, and you also have to think of like the area that it happened in. Like certain police departments, I mean, I would say like on the coast, they have access to more people, more technology, more things. Whereas if you're like in podunk, middle of nowhere, you may not have the best resources.
And you probably don't have a need for it because, you know, like there's higher crime in certain areas. So like if this is an area where nothing like this happens, like they don't know how to fully deal with it because they don't come across it a lot.
Which is the opportune place for a killer.
That's true.
If they didn't know the people, which to me it seems like like they knew, someone must have known
personal.
Them.
Because this seems very personal.
To have one person go after two people, or in my mind I'm thinking it's one person, and it could be a crew of people, but to be able to like knock two people out enough to be able to tie them up and do all that with them, or just a really clever killer that's like, this is what I want to do, and these unsuspecting people are going to be my victims. Mm-hmm. Tragic though.
It's awful.
I hope that at some point, I know that they, like from what you said, that the doctor is still alive and they still have family members that are still alive. So hopefully in the future, something comes about where they're like, someone finds DNA, a photo or someone finds something that's like, oh, this could have been this person.
Another weird thing on Jesse, the eyelashes on his right eye were missing. and his eyeball was cloudy. His left eye had the eyelashes. Patricia,
what does that mean?
Her eyelashes on her right eye were gone, but were still on the left eye.
So torture then. Were they like
are they plucking their eyelashes?
That hurts. I've plucked an eyelash out. That freaking hurts.
Yeah, because I sometimes get them where they grow a little bit higher than the line.
Nope,
and I'm like, that's annoying. Get that out of here. And then you literally like instant cry.
But why was his eye cloudy? That's weird.
I think from trauma.
Oh.
So I don't know. It's like that's so... And that's another thing. They didn't have much. Like they had some bruises here and there. He had a hole in his shirt and his like because he was wearing a button up with like an undershirt.
Because they're like fancy dressed, right?
They went to a dance. And he had a small hole on both of those, but like what is like I don't know.
What was the motive? What was the reasoning? Like why? And I think that's the most frustrating thing when it's something so like that's a lot of strange things, like the bags on the hands, the shoes, the eyelashes, the eye, like that's a lot of weird things to just be like, oh, we don't know, moving on.
Yep.
You know. Ugh.
And that person is still out there somewhere. Could be
and if
your
you're watching
grandparent.
We see you. Your grandma or grandpa could be into some crazy stuff.
Ooh.
Valentine's Day killers. Well, that sucks.
Yeah. So
most of mine are not that intense. Mine are like this guy. They hated each other. He shot her in the face. So we're gonna go through some of mine, and they're gonna leave you on a
little bit easier.
Yeah,
cleanse the palate a little bit.
Palate from that tragedy.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Sorry, everyone, for bringing the mood down.
Yeah, way to kill it for everyone on Valentine's Day.
But now we're saying we need to find this person.
Yeah, for sure.
We need justice. We found the Golden State Killer. We can find the North Carolina strangler.
Valentine's
Day strangler.
We'll
workshop the name.
I think we can come up with a better name. Yeah. We'll come back to you for that one. Okay, so on to my tragic Valentine's Day murders that aren't so tragic. Well, they're tragic because people died, but they're not so like, they're still alive.
At least there's closure most of the time.
Yes. Well, and I would say everyone on my list has been caught.
Okay.
Whereas...
less of a mystery.
Right.
You don't know.
Right. You're gonna be able to sleep at night and not worry about them climbing through your window.
Yeah.
So first up, we have Oscar Pistorius, and so this list was very dramatic in the titles. So this one is Oscar Pistorius terminated girlfriend. So if you're not familiar with him, he was a Paralympic victor. So I don't know if he got what place he got, but he placed.
Yeah.
I think he might have. I don't know if he got gold or not. So on Valentine's Day 2013, he became known for something very different, the savage murder of his girlfriend, Riva Steenkamp. So at first, he tries to go with, after she's dead and he gets caught, he tries to go with, well, I didn't mean to kill her. It was an accident. So there was someone in the bathroom and I thought we were being robbed. And so I just shot them. And it's like, well... First of all, if you're going to do this, think of a better story because immediately I'm like, you're a liar. No one just shoots blindly through the door and hopes that it's a bad guy. I take that back. Maybe that's a reason because you don't want to open the door and just shoot someone. But what if it's like your mom and she came to bring you toilet paper?
That's the thing.
Or what if it's the neighbor that came to drop something off?
Or your girlfriend, because wouldn't also...
But he wanted to kill the girlfriend, so ultimately that one doesn't work. But reasoning, you would assume if we live together and you're not in the room with me... That's
the thing. We sleep side by side every single night. If I wake up and I think there's a murderer, I'm going to go, Leanna, where are you?
Here? And you're like, okay, she's not here. She's maybe probably the one in the bathroom. So, I mean, first of all, everyone was like, you're a liar. We know you did it. But then they were able to find text messages of her basically saying that she was afraid of him and she was afraid that he would snap at any moment. So that's all it took. It took those couple text messages and they're like, guilty. So he went to prison. It doesn't say how long. I'm assuming he's still in prison.
Yeah, I don't remember. This was one of those cases where because I remember when it happened. I remember the twists and turns of oh, it was an accident to, oh no, there was something more. Oh, these text messages come out and all of this stuff. And it's one of those ones that you hear about it and it's sensationalized when it's happening, but then you just never really hear anything about it anymore.
And he did go to prison, so I'm assuming for murder in, like, at that point, I think it's not premeditated because they don't have any, like, evidence saying that he was going to do it. But there's enough evidence that with the messages that provided that he obviously did it on purpose. It was not an accident. So he sucks. And so going back to Valentine's Day 2001, Dr. John Hamilton ordered an expensive bouquet of flowers for his wife, Susan. Happy Valentine's Day, honey. I love you. But she would never live to see them. So coming home between surgeries, he allegedly found his wife dead in a pool of her own blood. She had been strangled with, cliffhanger, 2 of his own neckties. So her skull had been beaten in so badly that the pieces of her brain were exposed. By their friend's account, Susan and John Hamilton had a happy marriage. So investigators were like, intruder, obviously, if there's an intruder, chances are they're either going to shoot you or they're going to tie you up or they're going to stab you. They're probably not going to strangle you with neckties and bash your brain in. That's a little excessive. So immediately they were kind of like, well, we don't buy this. We don't think that this was an accident. And then they find a note that his wife had written him on his Valentine's Day card. And it says, I bought my cards 2 weeks ago, so I guess maybe they don't seem appropriate now. But I do love you. Have a good day. Dash, Susan. So there.
Have a good day.
Dash, Susan. Not even like with love.
At least
love you forever.
I put a little heart.
It was just a dash. So ultimately, as things started coming out, they're like, well, who is this friend? Is their testimony of their relationship being good actually a thing? And then to complicate it even further, the police found traces of blood and flesh in Dr. Hamilton's car. They also found Susan's jewelry hidden in an underwear drawer, almost as if someone had wanted the police to think it was a robbery that had taken place. So he was like, again, how dumb are these people? Which I'm glad they're dumb because they get caught.
Yeah.
But clearly not thinking through what's really going to happen.
Yeah, at least, like, I don't know, drive them, like, 2 towns over and throw them away in, like, a dumpster behind a grocery store or something,
right?
Like, to hide them. Like, do you really think that the cops aren't gonna, like, look around for things?
I think a lot of people just think, well, I'm a doctor.
That's true.
I would never hurt anybody. My job is to save lives. So whatever I tell them, they're gonna believe me until they're like, all it takes is one little piece of evidence to be like, that's not consistent. And so when this trial went to court, he was convicted in less than 2 hours. It was like, bing, bang, boom, you're guilty. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Go to prison. And then, so we have a doctor, we have 2 old people, and now we have a minister. Moral of this whole Valentine's Day story,
kills.
Trust no one.
Yeah, seriously, trust no one.
Even your doctor, even your minister, even your, I don't know, your significant other. Like, everyone.
We're gonna make everyone so paranoid.
Everyone's a
after
liar.
This episode.
Don't love anybody.
Don't love anyone.
So on Valentine's Day 2013, Minister Nathan Leuthold, I don't know if I said that right, gave his children Valentine's Day cards before school because he's such a loving father. And he's like, oh, children, I love you. Happy Valentine's Day.
So nice.
But the only thing that he gave to his wife was a bullet through the face. Like, and it's not even like a bullet through the head. It's like the face, meaning you see me, I see you,
That's
bang.
Very personal.
So this jury only took 90 minutes to find him guilty, which to me is like,
that's too long.
Why did it take long? Even the doctor, like 2 hours? That seems like, I guess they have to let everyone tell their story, blah, 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 blah. Like, even if we don't believe you.
It should have been like that joke where, like, you walk, do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah.
Like, you literally walk out the room, turn back around, and come right back in. Guilty.
So it says that he basically waited for his wife to return home, and I'm assuming, like, she took the kids to school. It doesn't give that many details.
Yeah.
And then right when she got home, he shot her in the face. And they also found hundreds of internet searches on how to most effectively kill someone. He Googled how much poison can the human body withstand and how to quietly fire a .40 caliber Glock handgun. Clear your cache, dude. Like, what? Come on.
It's just so amazing. How many crimes have been caught because they just look at your internet browser?
Google search. Like, come on.
Like, it saves.
We need to stop. We have to stop telling them to be smart.
Oh, yeah.
You be dumb. Continue your dumb streak.
Googling how to poison someone before you then poison someone.
It's great. It's great evidence for us. So it says then they also found that he was using his kid's college fund to pay his mistress off, who was not only his mistress, but was also the teacher to his children, who was coming over to teach the children Lithuanian. I was like, she was teaching a lot of other things, I feel like. So he was found guilty within 90 minutes and sentenced to 80 years. So, I mean, I'm assuming he was like in his 20s, so we don't have to worry about him. He's going to be in there for a while. And I have like kind of a lot more, but I feel like they're all like the same kind of path. You know, something goes wrong, someone didn't like someone, and they were just like, I don't love you anymore. I'm going to murder you.
On the ultimate
on the day of love. And with that, we are going to move on to
some Valentine's Day treats.
This has nothing to do with anything, but it's Valentine's Day related. And fun fact, I was like, AJ, what if we do some fun Valentine's Day creepy treat tastings? I'll go get a bunch of different candies and then we could try them all. So I go to multiple stores. Nobody has anything. I'm like, it was February 9th. Like, there's still plenty of days. What about all those last minute people? All there was is like heart-shaped Reese's Pieces. Like, nothing exciting. So I got my claws on whatever I could get, and we're going to try them. Also, some things that have nothing to do with Valentine's Day, but they're red.
Yeah, they're red.
So, time out, BRB.
Just take it.
We're back for Creepy Treats.
Yes.
Valentine's Day edition. And really, there's 3 out of the smorgasbord that are actually Valentine's Day things. Everything else is just colored Valentine's.
It's like the however many degrees of Kevin Bacon kind of thing. Like, you know, you have to take a few steps, but you get to Valentine's Day. Like,
there's red and heart shapes.
Heart-shaped red. I'm sure people gift these to people on Valentine's Day.
They for sure do this. And I made a note earlier and I was like, wow, this is the cheap Valentine's Day chocolate. Like, it's not the See's candy. It's like the drugstore brand. And it was $15. And like, has it really been that long since I bought?
Lace.
It is the lace. The box is really cool.
It feels expensive.
So we're going to start with our open things so these are Starburst jelly beans in the shape of hearts. They had me at Starburst jelly beans. They could have been in shape of poops and I still would have gotten them.
If anything, even more. Look how cute those are.
Oh, it's really good. And so this is actually in Valentine's Day packaging, but it's just like the loose candy, like put it in a candy dish. These are not Valentine's Day related at all, but AJ really likes the Nerds clusters. And they have a new flavor. So
I am so hyped.
I got those. Didn't I get those for a What's in the Coffin, I think, and then you're obsessed. So this is the regular kind that you've had before. This is the new flavor. They're all stuck together. This is Very Berry. Smells the same. But it's really good. It smells different, but it tastes the same. We like this.
Yep. This is where it's at.
And I got the big bag, so you can take the rest home.
Oh, man. After that night, I bought so many bags, and I had, like, every purse that I use, I would keep a bag in there.
The little bags in them? Yep. I would actually try to get them for you when you were going to come over, but they were always sold out, so I was happy that Target had them. So these are, technically, I think they were Easter candy, because at this point, does it really matter? They just put all the candies together. But they are Valentine's Day looking, and they are Hershey Kisses. Never had these with vanilla frosting on the inside.
Interesting.
And I'm not a huge fan of Kisses filled with things. I like the solid Hershey Kiss.
I always go back to the original with, like, filled, but I do love the caramel ones.
We like that.
It reminds me of something.
It tastes like really milky chocolate to me. Doesn't necessarily taste like vanilla frosting, but I think it's because they're a little melty. Yeah. So it's like just very creamy.
I would want to try one that's like fully solid because you would like bite into it and like the inside crunch would be,
the crunch and then the goo. These are Lindor Lint Truffles, irresistibly smooth strawberries and cream white chocolate truffles.
Irresistibly. Oh my gosh.
Irresistibly. You can do it. And there's only 2 in here, and I was like, what a ripoff.
You have to do it like the commercial where she's like,
Oh, like all sensual, like you would do on, and drop it on the floor.
I got
They
it.
do on Valentine's Day. Is this what people do?
Oh my god, why does it look like a boob?
It does look like. Oh, it does. Two boobies.
Cute.
Cheers.
Cheers.
What? Oh, wait a second. It tasted like not as sweet as I thought it was going to taste, but then it had like a weird flavor for a second.
The thing that I don't think I like the white chocolate, but I like the inside stuff because there's this one, not the strawberry Pocky, but there was like a special like strawberries and cream Pocky that was like limited time, and I was obsessed with it. That kind of tastes
The filling?
interior kind of tastes like the stuff that was on that Pocky, so I just want to eat the stuff from the inside.
It's good. I think I had the wrapper. Like I tasted metal at first. So other than that, took a second, but we got there. It was good. I think the Hershey Kisses are better. So you have AJ brought us a special treat from Porto's, and they are called. She's
Sorry.
like, no, I don't.
I'm sorry.
Do not like. What are they? The
Raspberry heart-shaped cookies. That's all they tell you.
most generic name ever.
Very generic name, but I can Postmates Portos to my house now, and they were like, would you like these heart-shaped cookies? And I'm like, yes.
Oh, is it like an add-on where you're like, would you also like? And you're like,
No, I just saw the name, and I'm like, oh, these look
Yes.
very cute. And they do. Look how cute. I've never had them before, so
they look yum. Are we going for it?
yes.
Oh, it's like 2-layer cookie. Or is it just burnt on the top? I don't know, but it looks yummy. Look how cute they are.
Look how cute. But I can tell, like, if you hold it up to the light, the raspberry's only in the middle. Oh, you can
So
have
good. It's like I don't know how to explain it. It's like a butter cookie, but soft.
It's very
I
soft.
haven't gotten to the raspberry.
I
yet.
know. I kind of wish it was still like.
I'm not gonna throw it. If it falls, it's a waste.
Oh,
Yeah, success. It's
yeah.
good. The whole thing, just bit the whole thing.
Especially with the raspberry, because it has like that little bit of tartness,
But it's not super
but
sweet.
it's not super sweet. So
And
you
everything
can-
else we've eaten is like
in your
makes you
face.
cringe.
This, you could probably pound like.
Highly
20 of these.
recommend. I mean, probably shouldn't, but
Who's stopping you?
you know, we got a whole
One life
box
to live.
So this is the little heart. This is what you think of when people are like, I'm gonna get
Yeah.
candy and what do they do? Flowers for Valentine's Day.
Flowers for-
And I was like, you have to have a heart-shaped something or other. And the only thing that I want in here is this thing because it's got the caramel. But I'm the type of person that like I just want a taste of it. I don't necessarily want the whole thing. So you just do a little taste. and
So
then
if you
put it back.
find a box of chocolates, and it just has little bites out of all of them.
It's been through my hands.
This one.
There's a guide. I can tell you what it is.
I feel like a lot of times this one has like blueberry in it.
Hold on.
See, beautiful.
Oh my god. The cluster is very yum. I'm gonna be on a sugar high. That is dark chocolate vanilla cream. No. There's a dark chocolate raspberry cream.
Ooh, where's that?
That's this little poop looking one.
They all look like little poops.
That one maybe? Does that look right?
Yes.
Hear my crunching?
I know. I'm sorry for anyone that doesn't like the taste.
Well, I put the whole thing in my mouth. I'm like, now I gotta eat the whole thing. It's hot. No? Nope. Oh, that's buttercream. Here,
What
put
is
it back.
this?
You can try another one.
What is this?
Um,
Forrest Gump?
That one looks like it. Like has raspberry in it, but that's not the right shape.
There's also this.
That one looks like a poop.
That's round.
Oh, there's strawberry cream.
Ooh, I like that.
It's one of the. It's either
This one does have like a.
a little schmooge.
Okay,
Yeah.
we got something.
Yes. No.
That's good.
So far, my favorite's the cookie
The cookie's very good.
because it's like a nice sweet treat, but not like a sugar overload. And then to balance it all off, as you do, AJ has contributed the.
If you want to know the way to my heart, it's a bag of Hot Cheetos, and the Cheeto company was like, we're going to up the ante a little bit. It says hottest ever. Spoiler alert. They're not super hot, so like if you're not a...
Wait, do you have the regular ones too?
Mm-hmm.
Can we reach the regular ones? Because it does. It has like the hottest ever, but then it has a disclaimer saying, what is it like?
Hottest ever product in the Frito-Lay portfolio in the United States, which one just shows that it's just like, yeah, it's hotter than what, like Fritos?
Right, but I was taking it as it's hotter than the Hot Cheetos, but then I'm like, what's the point unless it's really hot? Then just have Hot Cheetos.
My second thought.
But they still have Flamin' Hot Puffs. Oh, they're shaped like a pepper. Got it? I was like, what is this? I thought it was like a smiley face.
These ones are shaped like a pepper.
To remind you how hot they are.
But the second thing that asterisk makes me think, it says in the United States. So, are there international flaming hot Cheetos that are really hot?
Yeah,
and actually hot?
When you go internationally, they have all sorts of crazy kind of chips. I don't know about Flamin' Hot Cheeto, the variety Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
We need to look into this.
But I know they do have like some weird flavors when we've gone to other countries, and I was like, oh, that's delicious. And we don't have them here. Oh, wait. Can you see it looks like a little wee pepper. Okay, maybe the test is you let it sit on your tongue.
Yeah. I don't, and it's like it's so funny because like compare it to a normal Cheeto.
Does it just have more on it?
I feel like it has more on it. It's also a darker red, which I think is just like a mind game where they're like, your mind is like, oh, that's a deeper red.
It must be hotter.
It must be hotter. Because, yeah, this one has barely any of them, any dust on it. This one is, like, caked.
It does. This one tastes cheesier. That tastes pepperier. So in comparison, I would say it is a little, like, spicier tasting, but it's not as hot as I thought it would be.
No. I was expecting it to, like, hit me in the face, but it really kind of just, like, leaves a tingle on your tongue. So if you are, like, eating them...
If you ate the whole bag, your insides would probably be very fiery. Would not recommend doing it all in one sitting. But
would recommend.
Not the hottest pepper. We were actually talking about the ghost pepper chip. Where you get it on Amazon and it's just one, I think it's just one chip in the package. We're
like an individual thing.
We're gonna try that because I feel like
we'll
that
do
would
that
be
at some point.
Fun torture for us. Is that all of our Valentine's Day treats? I feel like it is. If you would like to try any of these treats, you can go to the grocery store.
Yeah,
and
we're not sponsored by any of them, but hey, Frito-Lay.
Or these cookies. We will take this sponsorship for sure. Yum.
Hit us up. Nerds Clusters, hit it up.
All of them.
I'm here for you.
We're open to any opportunities for snacks. Because really, that's what we're here for. We talked about the fun stuff, and then we're like, can we just get to the eating part?
Can we just eat now?
So if you fiends would like to check out any of our episodes, you can watch or listen wherever you get your podcast at letsgetspooky.com. And don't forget to
stay spooky. Bye. I'm going to keep eating.
I know. They're a little addicting.
So good.
Pepper Pups.